The biggest mistake I've seen in cover letters is that you don't nail the hook. Hey badasses, how's it going? Welcome back to the Badass Careers YouTube channel, which is 100% dedicated to helping you to have a really successful and fulfilling career. Now today's video is all about the cover letter mistakes that you're probably making because they're really common ones. And I know we don't send in our applications anymore via post, so a lot of people do ask me, do I even need a cover letter or a motivation letter? You know, if they don't ask me for one, do I actually need to write one? I mean, it's kind of a waste of time, no one reads them anyway, right? And that's totally legitimate question, because honestly, if you're going to make the cover letter mistakes that I'm going to talk about in this video, and you're going to write something like, to whom it may concern, I am excited to apply for your open opportunity, la 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 la. I think that I have the relevant skills, experience, and motivation required to do a really great job. If you're going to say something like that, then yeah, it might kind of be a waste of time because that's really generic and common. But a cover letter done right, whew, that shiz is powerful. I have seen hiring managers countless times hesitating between two candidates for a role. They've gone through the interview process, and at the end there's two candidates that they can't quite choose between. And they actually go back to the original application, the CV and the cover letter, and they read the cover letter to really look at how the person has summarized their hunger for the role, their fit for the role. And honestly, it can make a really big difference. It can really be make or break. So let's cover off some of the most common cover letter mistakes so that you can make sure that you're not making them when you send in your next job application. So my first point's all about the format of the cover letter. So the biggest faux pas here is that they're often too long. So for a cover letter, it would absolutely be 1 page maximum, but ideally a nice tidy 3/4 of a page. And that's at around about 10 to 11 size font. Just to be super annoying, my ideal font size is usually 10.5. And speaking of fonts, it's really important that you use the same font that you used in your CV, so that it has a really nice consistent look. I've even seen people kind of match the header of their resume or CV back to the header of their cover letter, and it looks really sleek. And speaking of format as well, another huge thing that you really shouldn't do when you're writing a cover letter is to keep your sentences the same length. Like, write like a human, write like you're speaking to someone, and it should come out quite naturally. And repeat it out loud as well, what you're writing down, so that you can check just the general rules of writing apply really. So no sentences that are way too long with 1,500 commas in them, and just try and vary that sentence length as well, so it's not like da 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 da. You know, for the reader, it's enjoyable and engaging and punchy to read. And in saying that, a modern cover letter does not need to be, you know, to whom it may concern, 3 paragraphs, yours sincerely, signature, sign off. Feel free to use bold, so to make headers, to bullet point out the information. I'm a big fan of the bullet point. So my cover letters often look a little bit like you've got 1 or 2 snappy paragraphs, you bullet point some key points out, you close really well, and then you sign off and you make it really clear where they can contact you. So talking about starting your cover letter, so you're going to want to address it to someone, right? You're writing to someone. So a big mistake here is saying, to whom it may concern, dear sir, madame. Sorry, I said madame a bit French there, didn't I? I actually lived in France for 6 years, so forgive me. Dear sir, madam. Those kind of openers are very generic, and it can actually be seen as being a little bit lazy, that you didn't do your research and figure out who to address the cover letter to. And it also reeks of find replace, which is exactly what we want to avoid for a cover letter, because if the recruiter can pick up on the fact that it's a kind of template and you just change up the company name with every new application, it's not going to go down well at all. Another reason that I really hate to whom it may concern is that no one speaks like that in real life. Like, no one says that, like, to whom it may concern. Yes, you've got to be polite and relatively formal, but no one says to whom it may concern. Well, in the 21st century at least. So what do you do here? You always address the letter to a specific name. So you may have their job title in the job ad, for example, like you will be reporting to the director of XYZ, and you can find them on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to put that into your cover letter opener. Sometimes it's even just listed there on the job ad. Another thing you can do is actually pick up the phone, scary, I know, and call in the recruiter who is recruiting for the position, if there's a phone number available, and ask them to whom you should address the letter. Basically, that would be the best possible outcome. Otherwise, find the name of the recruiter and address it to them. So as long as you've got a person's name on there, it's going to be much more personalized. And if you've really tried everything you can and you just can't find someone's name, just put dear hiring team. Now, probably the biggest mistake I've seen in cover letters is that you don't nail the hook. What is the hook? The hook is the first opening sentence or sentences, that first paragraph that's really designed to draw the reader in, because your cover letter is not going to be read if the hook is quite generic and bland and makes the recruiter's eyes glaze over. So I'm going to give you an example of a pretty bad opener to a cover letter. To whom it may concern. Oh, it's already not starting great. As a longtime admirer of company name, I was excited to see your opening for job title, as seen on enter name of job board. As a current job title, with over 5 years of experience, I am confident I have the qualifications required to become a beneficial member of your team. So what's the main problem with the hook like that is that it's so generic. It's expected that someone would say something like that. You could easily just copy paste and send it out to this person could be applying to any company, anywhere, at any level. There's no differentiation. It's super generic. Another huge problem that I see here is when people use real cliches and they jump into their achievements and they use lots of adjectives to describe who they are. Like, I'm an out-of-the-box thinker, I've got great attention to detail, a real people person, and they say things like uniquely qualified. So research actually shows that 3 in 10 job applications contain the words uniquely qualified. So it doesn't sound so unique after a while. You've really got to scrap all of these cliches and describing words, because quite honestly, anyone could say what they are. Anyone could say that they were wonderful, fantastic, team player, that kind of thing. Those are just words. What you do instead is you've got to show us. You've got to prove it. You've got to give examples. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later, so stick around. But for now, what do you need to do in your hook? So you need to connect the reader instantly. You need to make them feel special, like they're the only company in the world that you'd like to work for. And in fact, you're already on the same team because you share the same values, you have a personal story that links to the company, or maybe you can show that you can jump right in there and solve their biggest problem for them. You've analyzed the job description, you've figured out the problem that they're trying to solve or the gap that they're trying to fill, and you tell me exactly as a recruiter how you're going to fill that and how you're going to solve that problem for me. Now, I actually have a downloadable for you. It's completely free in the description box down below. It's called Nail Your Hook, and I've got loads of examples for you from all different types of industries, of real clients of mine, from cover letters that have scored interviews. And so if you want to read those and get some real life inspiration for how you can really nail that hook, you can download that freebie down below. Now, another huge cover letter mistake is that you don't do the work for the recruiter. You don't make their life easy, because I'm sure you've probably heard it 100 times before. Recruiters spend on average 7 seconds looking at your CV or your resume, and I can guarantee that they'll spend even less time on your cover letter if you don't do this one thing. So it's really important that you do the work for them, that you connect the dots between who you are, what you can offer, what you can do, and what the company needs. So your cover letter is not just going to be a big brag fest about all the amazing things that you've accomplished and all the things that you've done. It's going to be very much tailored to proving that you can do their job, their opening within their company. So what you're going to do before you apply to any role is that you're going to have a table, and you're going to have 2 columns. The first is going to be, what are the requirements of the company? And the second column is going to be, well, how do I align with that? Okay, how can I prove to them that I have that? So if they ask for communication skills, what's your example of a time where you've really demonstrated excellent communication skills? So your whole cover letter is going to be full of really specific examples and accomplishments related to the role. Okay, not all of them. And this is linked to what I was saying before, where you can bullet point things out. So you could say something like, what specifically can I bring to your team as a job title? And you can bullet point out some of your biggest achievements with keywords linked back to the job description, linked back to what they're looking for. For example, communication skills. I have presented and facilitated over 40 workshops within seminars this year, and have consistently had satisfaction rates above 90% when it comes to my presentation style. You know, something like that. Another huge mistake that I see all the time is that you just rehash your resume. So the recruiter has your resume or CV, and you have a whole nother opportunity with the cover letter. You can tell a bit of a story, you can show your personality, you can explain something. If you have some gaps or anything that needs explaining, or maybe you weren't doing this job before and you're pivoting and you're wanting to try something new, you've got so much opportunity with a cover letter. And it really disheartens me when I see a resume or a CV and then I see the cover letter and you're basically just telling me what's in the resume and there's nothing new there. This is especially important when you feel like you don't necessarily meet all of the requirements of the job posting. I'm a big fan of encouraging people to apply for a job even if they think that they've only got 60-70% of the job requirements, because that's just a wish list, right? That's even the hiring managers know that they're probably not going to find that unicorn person. Cover letter is just such a good opportunity to explain to the hiring manager how you'd be a really great fit for the team, the company, and just make it really obvious how you'd really fit into their culture and be a really active part of that culture. So please, please, please don't just spend your cover letter explaining what you've done. So 5 years ago, I started out at this, the next role was this where I did blah, blah, blah. Then the next, they've already got that information. This is a whole new piece of real estate that you can use to your advantage. Now, the last mistake that I see being made is being a little bit of a creepy fan of the company. Now, I told you to nail your hook, and there's heaps of examples there. You'll see what I mean, where you really show that you've done your research and you admire the company and you bring it back to your personal values and stories and you make the link, and it's really important to make them feel special and like you really want to work there. But when I see cover letters where people spend the first 2 paragraphs going on and on about how successful the company is, all the things that they've done, how amazing it would be if you could grow and develop there, and all those kinds of things, maybe that's true, but it's not the right time yet to talk about that kind of stuff. The cover letter is really like, you've got a problem, I can solve it, let me show you how, boom, boom, boom. And it's really important that you don't waste that space going on and on about the company, because the people working there, they know the stuff that you can find on their website, they know that they're successful. I know when I was an HR manager at L'Oreal, people would say, you know, you're the #1 beauty company in the world. Yep, we are. So you don't need to repeat that kind of stuff. Cool, guys, so I hope that that was useful and that I've saved some of you from making some of those cover letter mistakes. Again, if you want to truly understand how to nail that cover letter hook and keep people reading so you can really talk them through why you'd be a great fit for this position, then download my freebie down below, Nail Your Hook, and you'll definitely be good to go. Let me know what your favorite mistake was down below. Hit me up in the comments. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'll absolutely check those out and I'll be responding to them as well. And feel free to share the love. If you know someone who's applying for jobs or thinking about it, share this video with them so that they don't get caught out making these cover letter mistakes either. And if you're someone who really cares about your career and you want to do really meaningful work and work that makes an impact on the world, then hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to be bringing out videos at least once a week that are going to help you to achieve that goal. And until the next video, stay badass. See you next time. Bye, guys.